Once upon a time, there was this religion, a kind of a cult, a doomsday cult. But they weren't the kind of doomsday cult that would trick their members into drinking cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. Nor were they going to kill anybody. But they did believe that the world was ending, and the world was ending very, very soon. But they were kind of unique in that they had a specific date when the world was going to end, or when they thought the world was going to end. And they were very, very public about this. They were trying to convince as many members as they could, as many people as they could, to join this religion. And because they were so vocal about this, and because they had such a specific date, a lot of psychologists started to study them just to see what would happen when the date came and nothing happened, when the world didn't end. And so they sold all their stuff, they quit their jobs, they begged and pleaded with their family members to join this cult before the end came. And the end came, but nothing happened. And what happened next was very, very interesting to psychologists and people that study cults. The end came, and instead of realizing that they were wrong, and instead of quitting this religion and maybe finding a better one, they doubled down on their belief in this religion. Even though they were proven to be wrong, they doubled down on their belief in this religion. Now, why did this happen? On the surface, this doesn't make sense. They have a belief, but then there's logical data, statistics, facts that disprove their belief, but that made them double down in their belief. Why did this happen? According to evolutionary psychologists, this is a function of what's called the law of commitment and consistency. We tend to do what we tend to do. The brain is a very labor-intensive organ. It takes a lot of effort to think proactively, to think consciously, to think rationally. Our brain would much prefer to live on autopilot, to just do things automatically by habit. It's kind of like the difference between sitting on the couch and relaxing and doing push-ups. Most people would prefer sitting on the couch and relaxing to doing push-ups. For the brain, that's kind of the difference between living on autopilot and thinking proactively. Thinking proactively is like doing push-ups for the brain, and the brain doesn't like to spend energy. The brain is very, very expensive. And through the long trial and error of evolution, we evolved a lot of shortcuts in thinking so we don't have to use brain energy when we don't need to. And that's where the law of commitment and consistency comes in. We would rather do something familiar, even if it gets us a non-great result, than do something new and brain-intensive that might get us a better result. We would rather do something familiar and comfortable that gets us an average or less than average result, rather than doing something brain-intensive, proactive thinking that might get us a better result. And this is expressed through this law of commitment and consistency. In this particular example, this is when the religious people express their belief in this religion. When they double down, when they proclaim their belief in this religion publicly, that kind of set this belief in their mind. And every time someone tries to argue against them, that makes them double down anymore. And this is what will happen every time you try to use logic and reasoning and facts and statistics to disprove a belief. It will backfire. It will make them dig in even more strongly. This is why in the old days, before the internet, they would say, never talk about politics and religion. Because politics and religion are things that we've expressed through our lives, and logic and facts and statistics will only make us dig in if someone tries to contradict our beliefs in whatever religion or politics we believe in, whatever ideology we believe in. So how can you use this idea? How can you leverage the law of commitment and consistency to be more persuasive? How can you get people to do what you want, knowing that you have to be careful about using logic that might make them dig into a belief that contradicts what you want them to do? Well, first, start with the end point in mind. Start with what you want them to do, the idea you'd like them to believe. And then be as covert as you can and ask them questions to elicit previously believed things or previously done behaviors that are congruent with what you want them to do. For example, suppose you're selling a car to somebody or you're selling something to somebody. Now, the old school method would be to hammer them with features and benefits. You should buy this because of this reason, this reason, this reason. That will make them kind of push back and dig into their position of not wanting to buy the thing. But if you turn off your desire to talk about the thing you want them to do and just ask them questions that will elicit behaviors that are congruent with what you want them to do, it'll be much more comfortable to them. It'll seem much more familiar to them. So if you're selling them something, say something like this. Look, maybe you want to buy this, maybe you don't. I'm not really sure. That's up to you, not me. I just want to make sure that you make a good decision today. So let me ask you, if you don't mind, what are some of the best buying decisions you've ever made? What are some things that you bought that you were really, really happy with? And just let them explain that. And they'll explain that, and they will start to bring up all these previous experiences that are congruent with what you want them to do. This will make it much more familiar to them to buy the car or buy whatever you're selling. You can use this in social situations too. Just talk to people about, when was the last time you met somebody really interesting and you just talked for a long time and you had a good time? What was that like? When you meet somebody new, are you more attracted to different things or familiar things? And just ask questions about their previous experiences and slowly lead them to feel comfortable, to feel familiar with the thing that you'd like them to do anyways. This is a bit of a long game strategy, but it's very, very powerful. Also, understanding the law of commitment and consistency will keep you from being frustrated by trying to use logic to convince people of emotionally held ideas or subconsciously held ideas. So try this law out and see how it works. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to learn more about how to become more persuasive, please check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.